Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learn English with Mary and Sam. I'm Mary.
And I'm Sam. It's great to have you with us for another episode. Today, we're diving into a topic that's essential for anyone who wants to feel more confident and natural when speaking English: how to keep a conversation going.
That's right, Sam. Many English learners tell us they can start a conversation, but then suddenly there's an awkward silence or they run out of things to say. If this sounds familiar, don't worry. You're not alone.
We've all experienced those moments, even in our own language. But in English, it can feel even more stressful. Today, we'll share practical strategies, useful phrases, and real-life examples to help you keep any conversation alive and interesting.
Imagine you're at a party, a networking event, or just chatting with a colleague. You want to connect, but you're worried about running out of things to say. By the end of this episode, you'll have a toolkit of techniques to help you handle these situations with confidence. Let's start with one of the most important skills in conversation: asking good questions. Sam, why are questions so powerful in keeping a conversation going?
Questions show you're interested in the other person and encourage them to share more. But not all questions are equal. Instead of asking yes or no questions, try open-ended questions. For example, instead of "Did you have a good weekend?" you could ask, "What did you do over the weekend?" This invites the other person to give a longer answer and opens the door for more discussion.
Exactly. Open-ended questions often start with words like who, what, where, when, why, or how. For example, how did you get interested in your job? Or what do you like to do in your free time? These questions encourage people to share stories and details, which naturally keeps the conversation moving.
And when someone answers, listen actively. Don't just think about what you'll say next. Really pay attention. This helps you ask follow-up questions, which are another great way to keep the conversation going. For example, if someone says, "I went hiking last weekend," you can ask, "Where did you go hiking?" Or, "Do you go hiking often?"
Let's try a quick role play. I'll be the guest and you're the host.
Sure. So, Mary, what did you do last weekend?
I went to a new Italian restaurant with some friends.
That sounds nice. What did you order?
I had homemade pasta. It was delicious.
Oh, I love pasta. Did you try any dessert?
Yes, we shared a tiramisu. It was amazing.
I've never tried tiramisu. Would you recommend it?
Absolutely. Next time you go to an Italian restaurant, you should order it. See how Sam kept the conversation going? He asked open-ended questions, listened to my answers, and responded with interest. This made the conversation flow naturally.
Another great technique is to share a little about yourself. If you only ask questions, the conversation can feel like an interview. Share your own experiences or opinions and invite the other person to respond. For example, I also love Italian food. My favorite dish is lasagna. What about you?
That's a good point. It's about balance. Ask questions, but also share your own thoughts. This makes the conversation feel more like a real exchange.
Let's share some useful phrases you can use to keep a conversation alive. Here are a few you might find helpful. So, what's new? How's it going? That's interesting. Tell me more. Really? I didn't know that. By the way, I wanted to ask you. That reminds me. How about you? Let me think.
These phrases help you show interest, ask for more information, or smoothly change the topic. For example, if you feel the conversation is slowing down, you can say, "By the way, I wanted to ask you," or "That reminds me of something that happened to me recently."
Let's talk about awkward silences. Everyone experiences them, especially when learning a new language. But there are ways to handle them smoothly.
One tip is to use filler words or phrases to give yourself time to think. Words like, well, or let me think are natural in English and help keep the conversation moving while you organize your thoughts.
You can also use ready-made phrases to restart the conversation, such as, "So, what do you think about?" or, "By the way, have you heard about?"
And remember, not all silences are bad. Sometimes a short pause gives both people a chance to reflect. Don't feel pressured to fill every moment with words.
Another way to keep a conversation going is to look for things you have in common. Maybe you both like the same kind of music, enjoy traveling, or have similar jobs. Once you find common ground, you can share stories or experiences related to that topic.
People love stories. Sharing a short, interesting anecdote can make the conversation more lively and give the other person a chance to share their own story.
For example, if you're talking about travel, you might say, "I once got lost in Paris and ended up discovering a beautiful little cafe. Have you ever had an unexpected adventure while traveling?"
Sometimes you might want to change the topic. Maybe the current one is finished, or you don't know much about it. You can do this politely with phrases like, "Anyway," or, "By the way, I was going to ask you."
Here's an example.
"So, anyway, I've been meaning to ask you, do you have any good book recommendations?"
This lets the other person know you're changing the subject, but you're still interested in their thoughts.
It's also important to know how to express your opinions or disagree politely. You can say, "I see what you mean, but I think," or "in my opinion." This keeps the conversation respectful and interesting.
And if you agree, you can use phrases like, "I know what you mean, that's true," or "I feel the same way."
If you don't understand something, it's okay to ask for clarification. You can say, "Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat it?" Or, "What does that word mean?" This not only helps you learn, but also keeps the conversation going.
And if the other person doesn't understand you, try rephrasing your sentence in a simpler way. For example, if you say, "I missed the meeting due to a power outage," and they look confused, you can say, "I missed the meeting because the electricity went out at my house."
Giving a genuine compliment can make the other person feel good and open up more. For example, "I really like your jacket. Where did you get it?" This can lead to a new topic and keep the conversation going.
Also, use positive reactions like, "Wow, that's great," or "Really," to show interest and encourage the other person to continue.
Remember to balance talking and listening. Don't dominate the conversation, but also don't be too quiet. Try to match the energy and tone of the person you're speaking with.
And don't be afraid to discuss more interesting or abstract topics if you feel comfortable. Moving beyond small talk can make conversations more engaging and memorable.
Let's recap the main points from today's episode. Use open-ended questions to invite longer answers and keep the conversation moving. Listen actively and ask follow-up questions based on what you hear. Share your own experiences and opinions to make the conversation balanced. Use useful phrases to show interest, change topics, or handle silences. Find common ground and share stories to connect with others. Express opinions and disagree politely. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification or rephrase if there's a misunderstanding. Give compliments and positive reactions to encourage more sharing. Balance talking and listening and match the other person's energy.
Here are a few ways you can practice these skills this week. Try having a conversation in English and use at least 3 open-ended questions. Share a short story or personal experience with a friend or language partner. If you feel a conversation slowing down, use a phrase like "by the way," or "that reminds me," to change topics. Practice giving a compliment and asking a follow-up question. Notice how you handle silences. Try using a filler phrase or ready-made question to restart the conversation.
And remember, the more you practice, the easier it will become. Don't worry about making mistakes. Every conversation is a chance to learn and improve.
Thank you for joining us on Learn English with Mary and Sam. We hope you found today's episode helpful and that you feel more confident about keeping conversations going in English.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel and like the video. Your support helps us reach more learners and create more helpful content.
We'd love to hear about your experiences. What strategies work for you? What challenges do you face in conversations? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below.
And don't forget to join us next time for another episode packed with tips and real-life English practice. Until then, keep practicing and keep the conversation going.
See you next time.